aka The Entertainer's Lawyer, and I'm here again with another intriguing episode of Let's Talk Entertainment with The Entertainer's Lawyer. Oh my god, I love this thing that I do. I mean, when I started, I didn't think that I was going to be so consistent because I had too many things to do within 12 hours, and 12 hours was hardly even enough for me. But your love has kept me going. Thank you so much for the calls, the messages, the likes, the comments, your subscription. Speaking of which, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. It's somewhere down below on the left, and hit the notification button as well so that you're the first to get a notification every time I drop a new video. Today we're going to be talking about something interesting, and it's for our dear comedians. We'll basically be talking about joke theft, whether or not comedy is covered by the copyright law in Nigeria. I'll be right back. So the question that is often asked is whether or not copyright law in Nigeria covers comedy. The answer is it depends. Yes, it depends on the nature of the comedy or the joke. If this comedy or joke, so to speak, is original to you, which means that it is not made out of a general idea. Take for instance, there's something in the news that's making the rounds. Everyone is talking about it, so there's every high possibility that so many other comedians are going to make similar jokes about the same thing. That's a general idea, so you cannot say that any joke made out of that kind of situation is copyrightable. Why? Because it is not original. You have to prove that it's original to you. You must have thought of that thing out of your own mind, not out of a general idea. Secondly, it has to be scribbled down in a definite fixed medium of expression. If you watched my earlier video about copyright, you remember I spoke about copyright law not protecting the idea of the mind, but the expression of that idea in a definite fixed medium of expression. So I hope you get that. For your joke to be copyrightable, it has to be original to you, and it has to be put in a definite fixed medium of expression. Now, the joke being original is the hurdle that most comedians will face when they intend to institute a lawsuit, and also the comedians who consider the cost of getting justice and the time that is involved. However, this does not mean that your joke can be stolen anyhow and anytime by anybody. The comedic intra-community has come up with something called the social norms. Now, these are the norms that guide the comedy intra-community. So where a joke cannot be protected by the copyright law simply because maybe it's not original to that comedian, or it was not scribbled down in a definite fixed medium of expression because it was just an idea, the social norm will go ahead to protect the interest of the author of that joke. So this means that if, take for instance, you're a stand-up comedian and during one of your shows you just maybe have an idea about a joke and then you crack that joke and everybody laughs, and before you know what's happening, someone else goes ahead to steal that joke. You can report this to the comedy intra-community and they would sanction the infringing comedian. Yes, you do not have to suffer the loss of your joke or injustice only because your joke or your comedy is not copyrightable because it was not put in a definite fixed medium of expression. You still have the social norm to guide you and to protect your jokes from being stolen or used by other people passing it off to be theirs. So you can report this to the community, like I said, and they will sanction the infringing comedian. How do they sanction these infringing comedians? There are two most utilized modes of the sanctions. Number one is bad mouthing. Of course, you know comedians are good with bad mouthing, so they would often team up, come together and badmouth the infringing comedian. More times than often, they would even go ahead to write stuff about them and the infringements on their social media pages, which is one mode of sanction. That is enough to deter any reasonable person and make them take down whatsoever it is that they have infringed on. You'd agree with me that that is enough to deter any right-thinking person. I mean, by the time that all your colleagues come together, team up to start bad-mouthing you and writing stuff about you and how you stole someone else's joke, that is enough to make you want to take down that infringing joke. Yeah. So number two is the boycotting. How they go about this is the comedians, the comedy managers, and other key players in the comedy industry would mostly just boycott the infringing comedian. You know that nobody really wants to be associated with anyone who is an intellectual property thief. So they will not book him for shows to perform alongside with other comedians. None of the comedy managers would also want to manage him because nobody wants to be associated with an intellectual property thief, like I said. And that will make him feel more like an outcast and hopefully make him purge himself of that infringement and go ahead to take down the infringing joke if he's published it online or put it up on his page, social media page, or whatsoever. So these are the two most utilized modes of the social norm sanction. I think it is very important for me to reiterate that the copyright law in Nigeria covers comedy. Yes, it protects comedy, but the constraint here is proving that the comedy or the joke which you're suing for is original to you, and number two, that you have put it in a definite fixed medium of expression, which becomes the constraint to most comedians. And then when they think of the time and the cost again, they become laid back, and instead of going through the whole lawsuit, they just want to just utilize the social norm sanctions to protect themselves or get their jokes back or prevent other people from passing off their jokes as theirs. But the copyright law in Nigeria protects comedy if it is established that that joke or that comedy is of a copyrightable form. Lastly, I got to know from the kind of questions I got that a good number of comedians do not know about the notice and take down policy that is available to them. As a comedian, if you come by a comedic work or your joke being passed off by someone else as theirs, then you have the right to issue a notice and take down. Once you do that, more times than often, the infringers will go ahead and take it down. In my opinion, that is the first thing you should do when you realize that someone else is passing off your work as theirs. If they don't, then you can go ahead to utilize the other two sanctions that I just spoke about. So in a nutshell, if you're a comedian and you want to know if your joke is of a copyrightable form or not, then you need to hire and speak to a competent intellectual property lawyer so that they can look at the circumstance of your case and advise you accordingly. Please like this video if you find it helpful. As always, I remain the entertainer's lawyer, and I'm here for you any time of the day.